Welcome back, everybody. Best Buds Podcast, Season 2, Episode Big 14. Back with the boys. How y'all doing, fellas?
Big 14 know what's going on around here.
We've changed.
Thought he almost slipped up. Doing fantastic.
Fantastical, indeed.
I love to hear it. It's probably, I guess we have little calls in between the week, but as far as like sit down time where we get to talk to each other, this is kind of a weekly thing. So it's good to hear. I feel like we're all kind of getting back into our grinds somewhat in some way, which for me, I love the feeling of, honestly, once I figure that grind out, but all good things. Let's get the song of the week knocked out and taken care of. I'll go first. I just had my Spotify on shuffle the other day, and I think it's All Your Fault by Big Sean and Kanye.
Banger.
Banger, dude. I was like, oh, dang. This is nice.
Album is
Whatchamacallit,
right?
Yeah.
I saw a clip of LaMelo Ball singing that song the other day. Spun it back a couple times. Ugh. Such a good song. What a good era, too, when that song came out.
Exactly. Wow. The feeling around that song, it just brought back good feelings. Good feelings all around. But,
back on that.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yes, you do. Yes, you do. Because Drake, I know, okay, so you know All Me, right? All Me for real.
Mm-hmm.
Came out that song. Same era. Drake comes in on that verse on that song. Same sound, same flow. Like you're just like, wow.
It is crazy. It's crazy. Mm-hmm. What y'all fellas got?
I got a little R&B classic this week. Gonna go with Just Friends in parentheses Sunny by Music Soul Child. Now, okay.
Put you on that.
I know exactly who put you on that.
All right, I ain't gonna lie. I done got put on the merry-go-round song.
Yeah.
If you know, you know. And it's that Big Sleepy. Shout out Big Sleepy
album. Oh snap!
Oh man!
Shout out Big Sleepy because that's where it started.
Dude, that's a banger. Music Soul Child. Oh.
Wow.
Music Soul Child is very, very good.
I was studying the other day and just shuffled that album, and I think this is probably his most popular song, the one I just said. So I was just like, whoa, like, wow, great shit.
W.
Mm-hmm.
Culture there. W culture.
Those are two tough follows, Zion. Those are two tough follows, mate. What you got?
This song, when I first listened to it, it's reggae. When I first listened to it, it felt like it was talking about skin tone a lot. Like, it's called Black is Beautiful by Chronix. And I was like, I don't know how I feel about this because I'm not one to like categorize people by color or this, that, and the fourth, right?
Mm-hmm.
But then in the song, he says, it's not a racist song. I just wanted to shed light onto like the idea that people have made of black, like black being the bad or like black magic, black witches, black this, that, and the fourth. Basically just saying that black is beautiful. And for me, black and white is more of a yin yang thing for me rather than like a skin tone thing. So it resonated with me very well. Because like when you see yin yang and you see black and white, like which one are you gonna assume is the evil one, and which one are you gonna assume is the good one? When it's really not even that. It's really just those two forces are harmonizing. But yeah, that's a little kind of how my brain goes about with that song.
Never thought about it like that, but mine is slightly blown because when you're saying that, I'm like, yeah, bro, like black is beautiful. Like I like to uplift like culture and like different things, right? Like I think it's to think about it categorically, like to separate it is not right? But to uplift something in a way that is categorized is, to me, is like I'm cool with that. Like that makes sense in my head. But to think about it broken down to yin and yang and which one you would assume is good and bad.
Yeah.
That's
a whole
very
nother
profound,
level.
bro.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That's 3 banger songs of the week right
The
there.
song is good too. Like aside from like the meaning of the song and just how well it resonates, like it satisfies the way I think is what it is. Because most people will hear the song and wouldn't think like that, but it satisfies the way I think because I think of it in that way. But the song also just sounds really cool. It sounds good.
Okay, I'm gonna save that right now because
Yeah,
like that.
I've smartened up and I realized I should just add the songs to the playlist while we're doing this. So that's what I just did. So they're in the playlist
Yeah.
immediately instead of asking
Check out the playlist too.
the week. Oh yeah,
Check out the playlist,
most
man.
wide variety of songs you might ever run into. And I'll honestly give it a shuffle every now and then. It's good. It's good stuff. Moving along, what's happening in the real world this past weekend? I think we all had good weekends. Kind of getting back into it.
I mean, yeah, the weekend was kind of crazy too, though, with like the whole like fires on the.
That's
West
what I was
Coast,
about to touch on. Is just like
ice
how crazy
on the East
it's.
Coast.
Yeah, and thoughts and prayers, to everybody out in Southern California who's having to deal with all that. I mean, it doesn't
It's
look
unfathomable.
Yeah, exactly. It looks. I mean, just not real.
For me to even look up pictures and think about it is like
scary. It's really scary stuff. So hopefully, that all turns a corner soon.
Yeah, it's another one of those things too where it's like you see it online and you're like, and it's America for us, and we do know people on the West Coast, and it's like it sucks, but like for them, it's trauma. Like it's actually trauma. Like your whole like people are gone, and then there's the fact that like if you're breathing that 4 or 5 years later, you're gonna get cancer and have that deal with the after effects.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, yes, it's terrible to lose your home and all that, like, and get displaced, but the after effects are going to be probably even more.
Yeah, even more detrimental. Yeah.
Yeah, I think seeing it through the phone desensitizes it. When it becomes your reality, that's
way
That's why we can't even imagine. We can't
exactly.
Yeah,
we can't even imagine it. Really, I mean, obviously, we're gonna give our energy to those people.
Yeah,
yeah,
because that's the most we can do.
It's the most you can do is collectively kind of pray for them and think about them.
Yeah.
So
crazy.
Yeah, moving along. I guess we were lucky to. You got the most snow, Zion? We got nothing really here in the Pines, so we were lucky, obviously, to avoid some of the ice.
Yeah, it was snowy here and icy. It wasn't terrible though. It was just like a one night thing.
Yeah.
The snow stayed for a little bit, but like the dangerous part, like but Rose being icy was only one night. The next day, it was fine.
Yeah, it's good. Jab, nothing, no snow in Charleston.
Had to bust out my puffer, bro. Had to bust out.
Puffer was busted.
That's damn right, boy. Oh my gosh.
It was just cold, man.
Cold.
I was like, I didn't move down to Charleston for this.
Oh man. But yeah, besides that, I said I would touch on the Commanders winning a playoff game for the first time in 20 years. I just value that because of the bond between like me and my dad, watching them. Like that's the first time I've ever celebrated a playoff win football wise with my dad in my lifetime, because I was 4 years old last time it happened. So and it was virtually, unfortunately, but just cool to exchange those moments. And yeah, so that was, I mean, thank God we won. If he had missed that field goal, man, I was heading straight to the field tomorrow to kick a 44-yarder or whatever it was. Off the post, man, had me sweating.
Stressing.
Hey, you weren't the only one that was stressing. That boy was nervous. I don't know if y'all
saw
those
that
clips.
Yeah. Wow. Apparently he's like really open about his OCD. He was going crazy.
He'd like take off his helmet, like rub his hair.
Oh, I just seen that clip.
And then he was like taking his cleats off, fixing his sock, like making sure his socks are perfect, tying his cleat perfectly. Like,
bro, I was like, bro, I had a hole in his sock. No wonder it was bothering him. He had a hole on the bottom of his foot.
And he's the backup kicker. I mean, what a job there. I mean, shoot, I would.
That's one of those things where I feel like it's one of those things where it's good to be like aware of what's going on in the game, but you don't want to be so caught up in it that it tricks you.
That's what they tell you. That's what they say.
With fighting, like I don't a lot of guys will like be like, "Who's my fighter? How tall is he? How much is he training? Blah blah blah." And I'm like, I don't even really need to know my fighter. Like, let me just fight. And
Yeah.
Ignorance is bliss.
but it is a good balance. Like, luckily, because that's how I am. But luckily, my team is going to be like, all right, he likes to do this, that, and the fourth, because they like to watch. But I don't like to add up all that stress and that all that
Get
extra
caught up
energy
in
towards
the
just thinking about it. Yeah. But that's what the team's for. So it's I'm blessed. I'm blessed for sure.
Yeah. So that kind of wraps up, I guess, the weekend and everything that's happened, good and bad. Good songs of the week, and we'll move along. We're just gonna do a short little segment, I think, right, on kind of another mental health topic, you could say,
I'll
right?
kick it off.
Yeah, go for it. Go for it.
So I'm going to start it off. So we're going to talk about addictions. You know, and addiction is a very like one of those words that has a very, very negative connotation to it. Because, you know, a lot of addictions are really bad. But like all things in life, there is a balance, like being like cleanliness and all this other stuff. But I wanted to start us off with an addiction that everybody has that isn't a bad thing to have. Not everybody, but 99% of the population. And that is an addiction to attention. You know, that's like the whole reason why some people even live is to get someone's attention in some way or another, one shape or another, one form or another. I have it obviously. Like I like. And it's honestly something that I'm trying to like. It's something that I've just recently become aware of. Like, oh, okay, I do crave it. I do like. I'm fighting people, so people think that I'm strong, but it's really not even about that. But I don't even know. I haven't given it much thought. I just now, like I said, like I just recently became aware of that as being an addiction. And also kind of just wanted to throw something that was a little different than like regular alcohol.
No, I think that's
tobacco.
a great one to throw out first.
Kind of get our minds like onto a different track. Like where are we going with this? You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think it's interesting that you say that because I was actually thinking about that today. And with attention, this is something that's like deep rooted in human nature, where attention is something that we like, in a way, need. Like you need some human companionship. Obviously, if you like sit in a room alone for weeks on weeks and weeks, you're gonna go crazy, right? You're gonna lose your mind. So, in a way, like we need it, but you can also crave it in a way where it is addictive and it can be toxic.
It's unhealthy for you.
Exactly. And then the alternative to that, I also think that you can like overdose from attention. You know? Like have you ever gotten the feeling where like, whoa, I'm getting too much attention right now. I need to go like be alone.
Right.
You
Like,
get burnt out or whatever.
Yeah, like people are asking me like what I'm doing too much. Like I'm
I need some space.
Yeah. You don't start to get like anxiety almost. I mean,
Yeah.
it's different for everyone else, but some people will get anxious and be like, all right, I need to get off the stage.
Right. Like if you're in school and say like I remember being in school and I freaking broke my ankle playing basketball, right?
God,
Everybody, yo, what'd you do to your foot? Yo, how long are you out? Yo, what happened? Why are you on crutches? Blah 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 blah. And I'm like, okay. At some points, I was like, okay, this is kind of nice. Like, you know, a cute girl, like, oh, what happened? Blah, blah, blah. Of course, I'm not like,
worried about me. She worried about me.
But over and over and over, having to tell the same exact story, I'm like, oh my gosh, like, I don't want any more attention about this. Like, I'm done, you know. So I think it's definitely like a spectrum or even like a pendulum.
For sure.
With that.
There's definitely a healthy threshold where it's like get your attention because attention pushes you to like achieve things, like become a doctor, go to school, get good grades. Like it pushes you to do good things, but you know, for example, like it also pushes you to do bad things. Like when you're in a relationship, like you're no longer getting that attention from your partner, so now you're seeking different forms of attention from other places.
Yeah,
that's where it's like
that's where it takes a turn.
You might gotta work on that little attention thing there.
I think.
And
go ahead.
This just came into my head when you said that. Um,
I know y'all boys might
we,
relate to that one a little bit better.
we'd have to be in that way. Like we're this whole time we've been talking about receiving attention. There's a flip side where you give your attention. You also have to be careful about where you're giving all your attention to someone or giving all your attention to one certain thing. And I think that can even like snowball into deeper addictions. And then also like, you know, speaking of relationships, if you're putting all your attention into your girlfriend, you know, we all got the one homie. I'm sure I've been this homie at one point where, you know, they get a girlfriend and all of a sudden they just
disappear.
They disappear.
It happens to
And
all
that
of us.
I think everybody at some point goes through that. And
I've
and
been
you
waiting for
learn.
that.
I've learned from that to where like that's not where it's at, bro. She's got to add to your life. You know, you can't take away from what you've already built. Okay, I'm gonna stop there.
I like that.
No, I agree
people,
with you 100%. 100%.
I think people do that. Sometimes people will do that, like giving out a lot of attention because that's how they want to be treated, or that they missed it. They didn't get any attention whenever they were a child. And
They're expecting something in return.
Everyone else, yeah. Some people will expect things in return, but you know, who knows?
I think.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, you're good. I think for me, I think the biggest thing that resonates with me is the ability to kind of feel your addiction. Like when you're able to have the realization, like what you first talked about, Zion, how you like just now starting to kind of
Become aware of it.
become aware and like maybe how much you're giving or receiving at times. And I feel like that's a big part of becoming aware of it is then you can really gauge how much you give or receive and do it in a way that I think is healthy for yourself and everyone else. I think this past year for me personally was a big, when I reflected upon this last year, I really took in how much my awareness grew of myself firstly, and like the situations that I got in, the interactions I had, things like that, and then others as well. So like that was just a big takeaway. So kind of probably on the same timeline as you, almost like beginning of this year, end of last, just when I reflect on it and look back, I'm now starting to be able to kind of
I mean, throughout the whole year, you were aware of yourself and you were able to openly communicate that, and now you're kind of like you're able to put it all together.
yeah, exactly. So
I'll say too, like one thing with addictions that like helps me figure out where the threshold is, where it's healthy or unhealthy, is just like testing yourself. Like try to stop doing something, see if it's something that your body and your mind need, or see if it's something that you know your body and mind can take a break from. You can come back to it and you're fine. Like that's how I kind of figured out what am I struggling with. Like, let me take this away. Am I struggling with this? No, I did fine. Let me take this away. Am I struggling with this? Yeah, that one was hard to give up. Let me try this. You know what I'm saying?
It comes with the awareness.
Yeah.
There's something that I'd like to bring up. Today in class, we actually learned about this. We learned about how people change and how to help people with addiction issues, like from a physical therapy standpoint. Because like a lot of PT is you're sitting there talking to someone and trying to you know hear out their emotional well-being as well. And so I'm going to read you the 5 stages of changing an addiction or changing a bad habit. Okay, ready?
Yeah, I like that, yeah.
Stage 1, pre-contemplation. This is basically saying like, ignorance is bliss. I don't know I have an addiction. I don't know this has negatively been affecting my life at all, right? Stage 2, contemplation. That's when you're sitting on the fence. You're like, wait, is this bad for me? I think this is bad for me. I think I should do something about this. I'm not going to do anything yet, but I think this is kind of an issue in my life, right? Stage 3, preparation. This is like, okay, what's my game plan? I need to make a change, right? I'm aware that this is a problem. and I'm aware that if I change it, it's going to positively affect me down the line, right? Stage 4, action. This is when you put your plan to the test and stay consistent, whatever.
Yeah, you'll probably
Keep
fail
that contract
a
with
couple
yourself. You're good. Okay. Yes. So then stage 5 is maintenance, right? So steady as you go. You got to keep being steady. You're doing maintenance. You're doing the things to kind of keep up with the contract you made with yourself, right? You're doing little things to kind of help, today I really want to do whatever I was addicted to. Okay, I'm going to out of sight, out of mind, like whatever strategy you need to do, right? That's your maintenance. And now number 6 is something that a lot of people don't talk about, and it's relapse, right? Because oftentimes when you try to cut something out of your life, you're inevitably going to relapse, right? And I think that's something that people like don't talk about enough, because a lot of times I feel like people don't know where to go after that. After you relapse once, do you feel
I
like
also feel like people are scared to speak about relapse because they're scared to be shunned, or they're scared to be like, "Oh,
They
you
think it's
can't
a
do it." Like
failure.
other people to force their imagination of you can't do it onto them, so they're like they don't even want to talk about
Yeah,
it.
I think that's it.
especially if you share your journey with other people?
Yeah,
And yeah, so we talked about like kind of how to deal with people when they relapse and advice to give them. There's a stat here too. 50% of individuals will relapse to their former behaviors within 6 to 12 months. 50%.
Yeah, that sounds about right,
yeah.
honestly.
And that's a pretty that's a nice calculation, but it's pretty broad because there's so many different forms of like addiction. But still,
Yeah.
that's
50%
still a
of
crazy number.
all
Exactly, of
addiction.
all of
Yeah,
it. It
so
could be
it's
something like super simple, or it could be something super complex.
And
Or
honestly,
spicy.
I don't like stats like that when there's not like a study behind it.
it's not solely
Right.
identified
But
or something.
nonetheless, it just kind of supports the point.
Yeah. What do you think like do you think what were some of the solutions to the like when you hit that inevitable relapse, like is it go back to step 3 sort of? Like is that what it,
Well, she kind of left it up to interpretation, which I
yeah,
think was
was
smart
good.
on her end. Um, the way that I kind of took it, now when you're advising someone through the different stages, right, you kind of have to recognize what stage that they're in. So if someone relapses, it's almost like you want to, when you're setting them up for their journey to beat addiction or whatever it is that they're trying to do, um, you don't want to mention relapse because you don't want to make it seem like it's okay to relapse. But I think once they do, kind of reassuring them that like, hey, like this is something that happens all the time.
Right.
Like, do not let it deter you from the goal that you set originally. And then I think in times of relapse, I would probably encourage people to like seek community, seek like
Somebody
some
else
type
that's
of
relapsed and been through it or
extrinsic support.
yeah.
It makes sense to me that she left it up to interpretation because in your field, you're dealing with an individual, so you have to understand the individual first before you can come up with how
The
to
exact way
help
to
them.
do it, yeah, because there's no
Exactly,
exact way to
exactly.
do it. I
There's
do
no perfect way
I
to
do
do it.
like that
Yeah.
though, and what you said, especially about like not telling them about it or not mentioning it openly before, because you don't want them to get the image that it's okay to do that. Because
Yeah.
then you go into whatever addiction you're trying to
The
move
idea
with,
that it's
like,
gonna happen.
oh, it's all good. I'm finna relapse, gang, 50%.
Right.
But so I do like that part because it keeps the mindset of I'm beating this addiction. But then when you do relapse and you hopefully feel bad about yourself for relapsing, you know what I mean? That's when somebody's like, hey, it's okay. So I like that part about it.
All right, I've got 2 more addictions.
Okay.
We'll save the spiciest one for last.
Oh gosh. Yeah, we're 25 minutes in here, so we're just,
Okay, we'll try to get past this one. This next one though is one that I struggle with. It's not one that I intentionally set like I did my other two. Last year, I focused on two things. Last year, weed was one of them, which I did fucking with
Ease.
golden stars. Like,
Mhm.
That's
golden
with
stars.
flying colors.
Flying colors. That's what it is. I passed with flying colors on that one. The second one we'll talk to after this one because the second one's kind of spicy. This one is one that I've noticed. I didn't intentionally set to stop myself from it, but it kind of ties with attention. But it's just like, Instagram, like being on your phone, trying to be constantly connected to Instagram or TikTok, like constantly connected to something. And another thing too with addictions is like there's the drugs that are like chemically making you addicted. Like your body literally needs it and it hurts if you don't have it. And then there's like habitual addictions, where it's just like a force of habit, like smoke before you eat, smoke before you do something. Um, and then there's, which I think the Instagram stuff is a little mixture of both. Like you're on your phone
Well-
before bed, and then like, have you ever seen that study where it's like when you're flicking your thumb and you see it, that's like it releases
Yeah.
dopamine or something?
Yeah.
I was gonna say, as far as like your body being addicted to it and habitual things like smoking before you eat, scrolling on Instagram, whatever, it's still like it's your brain chemistry at that point, right?
Okay, I see what you're saying.
So
Yeah.
you're addicted to like that feeling or like that like setup before you eat or that like, oh, I gotta scroll a little bit before I go to bed because it
That
makes me feel
routine,
good.
in a way,
Right,
the
technically
routine.
it's all chemical addictions in a way, is what you're saying.
Right. And I'm not the guy to like sit here and break down the science for you, but that's just my belief.
But
And
yeah,
I think-
Instagram was what I struggled with hard.
I think that one easily ties into your first one with attention. Because I
Yeah.
think almost all social media apps and anybody that's addicted to a social media app is most likely addicted because of attention
My
being
my
a
biggest
strong.
struggle with it
Yeah.
is really, in my personal situation, it's boxing and kickboxing and fighting. It's like I do want to delete it and I could just like ghost because like I'm totally cool with it, but it's like I do want to.
You have an image that you want to put out.
Yeah, like I still want to be able to post and be like, buy some tickets from me, got a fight coming up, blah blah blah, this, that, and the fourth, and like keep up with all that that's going on. But like now that I say it out loud, it really doesn't even matter. Like I could just.
I feel like you've done a good balance of it though.
I have. I
Just as
definitely
far
have.
as like
So,
what your intention was when you first set out, because you definitely set out to like
the only time it's
clean your
bad for
social
me
media a
is-
little bit, or like not clean it, but like
the
not
only
use
time
it as
it's
much.
bad for me is right before bed. Like I'll be like, I gotta do something, and I'll be in bed, and I'll scroll, and like a whole hour will go by, and I'm like, wow. Now
Yeah.
now my brain is like, and your brain's sped up. Like you get out of this state of like calmness. So like even if I were to put my phone down and start meditating or playing the guitar, do something that's like super like low vibrations, my brain is still super sped up to this like 1 minute hit of 10-second hit of
Your
whatever.
brain. Somebody just told me recently it's like 120 thoughts per minute or something crazy. It's like more thoughts per minute than seconds.
It's out of sync to your body and your brain. It puts them out of sync because I know you guys have done this. Like sit on your phone, you are tired, tired right before bed. Sit on your phone, all of a sudden you're like, dang, I just can't sleep. Like I don't know what's wrong. Like I just can't fall asleep. Sit there and read before bed. You won't even make it through 3 pages.
All right, I'll
Your
be
body will shut down
I'll be like,
because your yes, bro. Because your body and brain are synced up when you're reading. It's a lot more of a natural thing. It's a whole body
It
experience.
changes your
right?
frequency that you're operating at almost a little bit.
It's a very natural frequency. Your stimulation is coming from you. It's not an
instead of
external.
vibrations.
It's
from
what
the
you're
phone.
creating. Yes.
So just touch grass a little bit. Touch
God,
grass every now and
This
then.
J. Cole
Read a
line
book.
is just in my head. This J.
What
Cole line
is
is
it?
just
What is
in my head, and I can't sit here and not say it. Okay. So it's from this Boz song, right? My boy just made bail. Obviously, a sample.
Mm-hmm.
The chorus on that song, like it's just called "Free Your Mind and Everything Will Follow." That is just
Yeah, man.
so true. Like
Mm.
Zion's sitting there, I'm listening to you talk about Instagram, and I'm like, bro, like
There's the message. There's the message.
Like, don't even overthink that, bro. Like, free your mind from that. Like, because especially with the boxing stuff, dude. Like, don't even overthink it. Like, do it all in real life and post the highlights.
Right.
Here y'all go. Like, and just free your mind from like what that is supposed to look like or like what that should be for you. Because I do the same thing, but mine's not for publicity or whatever. It's just like me trying to, look good on Instagram and like freeing my mind from like
worrying about
external validation. And that's when I need to make a post, or like that's when you should like share something. Is like,
you're
not looking for like that dopamine hit of like likes or whatever. You're just like, I genuinely just want to like, I want this to reflect me, or I want to share this to my peoples.
Well, that part I'm good at. I'm good at like when it comes to posting and my image on the internet, that doesn't bother me. What bothers me is whenever I waste my time watching the reels. That's why I'm like, that's why I get frustrated. You know what I'm saying? It's like, I could have done this, that, and the fourth. But like you said though, like saying like, free your mind does help me with it because it's a part of my learning process of learning who I am. It's helping me figure out what I need to do. Like me being able to notice it and be like, oh dang, all right, now let's learn from that. Let's find the solution, and I become greater or better or whatever. All right, let's talk about it.
Yeah.
Okay, that was a fantastic little segment. That was a fantastic little segment. Let's get into the closer. Yeah. Let's get into the closer. If you stuck around till the end,
here you go. Here we go. We're gonna talk about the porn addiction and the grasp it has on men and women now, especially since the surge of technology and how easy it is to access these things. And I didn't realize anything, literally anything. Like before, you had to buy a magazine or something. You had to go to the store. People had to see you walk in. You start collecting it. And now you just look creepy. You got a whole bunch of magazines under your bed. It's like, you know what I'm saying? It's crazy. Now it's just like nobody knows. It's on my phone. You feel me? Oh, nobody got to know. Now there is different levels to this for sure. Go ahead.
It's something that I don't think is talked about at all.
Well, it's because people hear it and they're just scared to talk about it.
The word
it's one of those things.
People really uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Me being one of them. I think I've been slightly desensitized to it because we've been able to have some real conversations about it. But like, I remember when my dad caught me the first time. Boy, you could. Oh my god, bro! I wanted to be anywhere else.
Yeah.
Except for right there. You could have taken me to the damn Sahara Desert.
The only reason why I want to talk about it too is because, like I said, this last year, that was one of the things that I was like cold turkey with it. Like same thing with weed. I was like, I'm not smoking weed all year, and I'm not gonna be watching porn all year. Weed, easy breezy, no problem with that. Porn though, bro, folded multiple times, easily, bro. Like I would just be like, bro, it's so easy, like, and it's such a like. We were born in a time where it was like we never really had to deal with the magazines and whatnot. Like it was just,
bro. We haven't had like many struggles. There's really not many, like unless you have real struggles. The struggles for things that used to be a struggle are no longer because of the internet,
that's what
technology.
Made me realize, like, all right, this is bad. Like trying to actually intentionally, like, not even on like, no. Like religious, like people in religion say that. Not even on that. Just like on that self-experiment thing. I struggled with that more than I struggled with weed. And that was something I was more like, damn, I really gotta do it. Like, let me lock. Like I felt so powerless. You know what I'm saying? Over myself.
That's quite the word to associate with porn addiction, I think, powerless.
Mm-hmm.
But another thing I was gonna say, we grew up in that time. There were not people there to advise us on what to do.
They didn't know.
Oh, it was fresh. It was about fresh.
They didn't know.
They didn't know.
Yeah.
They don't. And they know now, though.
Like,
oh my gosh. We know now. What you mean?
Well, I was about to say, like, I think it's something that I had to come to terms with myself. It's not like, of course, my dad's gonna be like, yo, don't look at that. Like that's not good. Like, but he doesn't know. I mean, he knows
Right.
now, but he didn't know. Like,
Yeah.
so I think realizing how easily accessible it is, you have to gain that level of awareness, that level of self control. But like for me personally, it's difficult for me to go cold turkey, like just straight up. You know, it's
Yeah.
something that I kind of like have ease and flows with, and
Especially for young men that like young men that have insane amounts of testosterone, like in high school, and don't really know nothing about nothing. Like that's different. We're getting older now. We're starting to be like, all right, we're starting to calm down at least a little bit. You know what I'm saying? But like in high school, middle school, like whenever you're starting to get that testosterone and all those different hormones and everything that you deal with that you're not used to dealing with, you're like, how do I deal with this? And especially I feel like whenever we were kids, it was almost like people were saying to us, like, oh, just go relieve yourself. You know what I'm saying? That's all you gotta do. You know what I'm saying? It was like I was almost it was like we were
That was
taught like
the
it was something that
advice.
we're supposed to release
Yeah.
on that, you know? Which I
No,
mean maybe
dude, there's
I don't
definitely
know. I don't
there's a whole nother side of that, I think.
exactly like
Where I don't know how it all plays out, to be honest.
well,
well
you
now,
know, in life
okay,
there's a balance of all things though. There's
okay, I was gonna say, hear me out here, hear me out, hear me out.
Yes.
hear me out. Hear me
With
out.
now, let's say you're a single man, right? A lot of us are. All of us here are.
Boom, boom, boom.
You go through spells of cold, lonely nights.
Yep.
And now where does this fit in? Because in this modern society, do we think it's okay to have a slight sprinkle of that while it's in your control, right? Now, I think sitting there, you know, doing the devil's work 3 times a day, that's not okay, right?
But you just call it gooning.
I'm trying to think of a friendly word to y'all know what I mean.
Yeah. 3 times this. Crazy work.
Now, do we think it's ethical to sprinkle that into your life? Or should everyone be none?
Here, I don't know. I don't have an answer for that. But let me expand upon the mind a little bit.
That is a crazy.
Imagine a person who has no idea of what that even is. Imagine a person that doesn't even know what gooning is.
Well, now, okay, I know people that have never seen porn. I know at least one person.
And they don't have the urge. They never have the urge.
Now, that person
That's
still
true.
does the devil's work. They still do the devil's work.
They still be gooning?
They just don't look at anything.
Well, that's the thing too. Like now that is something that probably more females can relate to. They don't have to because they didn't get hooked as much as males do. They can use their imagination because it's not so constricted and confined by the internet and the porn industry. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. No,
There's
you're
a lot
right.
of details we could get into this. We could really get into it, but I think that we touched it. We've brushed up on
Okay,
it.
I'll give my take on it because I brought it up and I had a take. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, I think that as long as it's not messing with your personal interactions, your interactions in real life, as long as you're not sitting there thinking like about something you've seen on the internet,
Right.
or even being unconsciously affected by something you've seen on the internet with an interaction in real life, then I think it could be ethically acceptable.
Interactions in real life. Can I like put some examples of where my brain goes when you say that? Two things come up. Like sexual intercourse. Obviously, it could be mess with that.
Change things.
And then also like the expectations you have of women that you just see out and about just regularly. You know what I'm saying? Okay, cool.
Yes.
Yeah, and interactions with them.
I think yes, and in the way that you perceive them, like you know, obviously you don't want to sit there and be like objectifying women, and that's something that seeing too many things on the internet can do, right? You lose that sense of personal connection. It's kind of just a transactional interaction at that point, which I think that is very prevalent right now in our dating
whole lot of transactions. Whole lot of transactions dating culture. Y'all, we just
debit or credit.
That's a whole nother episode.
Yeah. I that was good. That was fantastic, fellas. Honestly, that we talked about a whole lot of different types of addictions right there, and ones that I think a lot of people can relate to.
Addictions that not everyone's gonna be talking about, like alcohol,
some that people aren't putting out there all the time. We put Smokey to sleep. We put Smokey to sleep. We put Smokey to sleep with the porn talk though.
Smokey was locked in. Shout out to
Smokey.
Drop a comment.
Yeah, if you're still here, man, let us know.
If you can relate to what we talked about, drop a comment. If you can put yourself in our shoes, like the video. Okay? Follow the channel.
It should be likes from everyone.
Yes.
You feel me? If you can relate, drop a comment.
Which you're lying if you can.
And we see you lying.
Oh man, what a fantastic way to wrap up the record-breaking episode Big 14. We're officially more episodes into season 2 than we ever did in season 1, so less views, more episodes is what it is. We're still going strong. We've got more coming. Yeah. Appreciate you guys. We'll see you next time.
Free your mind and everything will follow.
Hey! What?